working on this dimmer switch again. If you'll remember, I did get the new switch and got it wired up. I've since thoroughly insulated it. By thoroughly, I mean wrapped some really bad electrical tape around those terminals so they don't ground out. And I'm gonna go ahead and install this little guy. So this is, I saw this on Advanced Auto, and I actually ended up getting this one from Rock Auto because it was like $1. And it's just a pigtail. So it just, you know, plugs into the back of the switch. It's really needed for that spot. You know, that's kind of a harsh environment. That's, you're literally stomping on that switch. So any bit of mud, snow, salt, sand, water, anything on your foot, you know, it lives right up in there, ends up on that switch, and it would not take much to cause a short there or break one of those pins off if you miss. So, you know, they designed this for a reason. I was originally going to just rewire it, but looking at these wires, they're kind of thin compared to the ones that are on there. Let me see how big those are, and you compare them to those. You know, there's a big difference. This literally carries all the current for the headlights, high and low beams, and these, you know, these aren't little low power LEDs. These are traditional headlights. They do pull quite a bit of power, or at least enough to cause a problem if you're not careful. So looking at the pins, well, they're covered up in tape because somebody did a good job, right? But looking at these pins, this is the pin from the original harness. This one still has the original pin in it from the harness. This one back here was the one I put a aftermarket pin on. I had to cut the wire, trim it, repin it, or a new spade connector, I guess. And so what I'm going to do, looking at these, they are the same kind of connector, or the same kind of pins. So I'm literally going to pop the pins out of this. I'm not going to use these wires. I'm going to pop the pins out and just put the two pins that I have in there, the original. So the power wire, and then the one for the high beams. The low beam, I haven't decided yet. I might pull this pin out and then try to get the wire out of the pin and put this pin on the wire and then repin it that way. I did that with the alternator voltage regulator, and that worked fine. It's not the best way to do it, but I really don't want to use this thinner wire unless I have to. But I mean, I'm sure it'll be fine, but why not? Oh, and it's snowing again. The benefits of working outside in your driveway, I guess, during the winter. So yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to pull these pins out. I'm going to try to get these in there, make those two a happy couple, and yeah, we'll see what happens. I'll bring the camera back in here once I have it done, and kind of show you the end result. So it'll either be awesome or it'll just be trash, and I'll put it back the way it is. We'll see. This is the part, by the way. All right, so here's the wires out. They came out without too much fuss. You know, they just latch in like this. There's a little tang on the end there. So if you're looking at the front of the connector, you know, it goes in there like this. Like that. You can kind of look down in there. Each one of those just clips in. I just stuck that little screwdriver in there and a little bit of tugging. They came out. They're all intact, which is good. So we'll see. I'm going to put the two pins that I have back in there and make sure that they'll actually fit. They look the same. They're the same size as this, so it shouldn't be a problem. And then I'm going to decide what to do with that low beam wire. If I'm going to try to, you know, pry this open, stick that wire in there, clamp it back down, and just use this pin, or if I'm going to cut it and just do a butt connector or something on there. I'd rather reuse the pen and just make it as clean as humanly possible. You know, it's already been patched once, and don't want to patch it twice, but you know, I'll do what I got to do, and get working on that, see where it goes. Here's the wire out. It put up a fight, and this is not the right way to do this. Again, don't do it this way. So the pin's off. I am going to, I did get the other two pins in there. They're not in there great, but at least they're protected from the elements. I'm gonna cut this off, stick it in here, and it's gonna find a semi-permanent home in this other opening right here for the low beams. Gonna get that in and then be back. Okay, so here's the pin on there. Again, don't do it this way, but it's not, you know, it isn't gonna come off. So I'm gonna clip it in there, put it back together and test it, and let's get it back together, back into its home, and we'll check and make sure the switch still works. If not, well, then too bad. Okay, change of plan. This is the original black wire, and this is where that chunk of electrical tape was. I'm just gonna pull this off because this is not not a secure connection. So I'm gonna pull this thing back off, and this wire is actually the right length. So I'm just gonna put the pin on the original wire, get rid of that jerry rig, and I'll spray this with some contact cleaner or something just to clean it up a hair, and then it'll be back. This was part of the original harness, and you know, this was working, but you saw how easy that was to pull loose. That's going to be a great way to build up a lot of resistance and or have an intermittent connection inside of that electrical tape. This is the stuff that came off of it. It's just old and waterlogged and kind of covered in oil, and you know, again, you don't want a short in there. You don't want an intermittent connection. There's too much current in there to cause issues. So I'm going to do this the wrong way again and incorrectly attach it to that so I can stuff it back into that connector, and then I'll be able to plug this back in the right way. Okay, so there's the pin reinstalled. Looks awful, but it'll work. It's on there. Okay, here it is installed. I found out why they had to patch the wire there. This wire is just short enough now that it's broken. Oh yeah, Jeeps make you bleed. This one is just short enough that when these two wires are extended, it actually pulls the pin back out of the connector. It's in there now. I don't know, we'll have to keep an eye on it. And you know, this high quality $1.50 part of one of the teeth broke off, the clips broke off, but it's not going anywhere. And turn the headlights on. High beam indicator works. Future episode on this. And I have high beams and low beams. So that kind of exploded into a small little mess, but it works. It's not ideal, but it doesn't move around. Once it's in its home, it's going to stay there, and this Jeep's not going to get driven enough initially, I think, for it to be a problem. If this ever turns into something like a daily driver, then, you know, I'll address it then. But for now, I'm going to call this quits. Thanks for watching and hanging out for a bit. Hope you found it informative, if not at least entertaining. And we'll get you some more tips soon as things get done. Take care.